Over the years, for someone like us who's in their 50s or 60s, we go through a lot in our life, and that can have different effects on different people. Because we have spent 50 years or more of our lives already, there would be experiences that we remember fondly, and then some experiences that are not so good and we don't really want to remember. Whether we want to remember them or not, they do have an effect on us, and how we deal with it, how an individual deals with it, is what is more important towards this side of the 50s, when you are on the other side and you're not as young, not as busy to keep yourself distracted, and just keep going through the life. So this is the time when it all starts coming back. At least that's what happens with me. And your mind starts thinking about what happened, what went wrong. So how do I deal with that? How do I deal with my mental health um, when you sometimes come across or think about your life, or what could have been, or what has happened, how come you are the person you are? All those thoughts are there sometimes, and then you wonder how we get through these at this time when the kids have grown up. We don't have the family responsibility anymore and have a lot of time to think about past. um, so I would like to share how I look after my mental health. um, I have kind of come to a conclusion that I need to live my life one day at a time. So, first, it is easier to focus on one day, how to get through one day, rather than thinking, how am I going to spend the rest of my life? With any kind of negative feelings you have, or something bad that has happened as per you or me. So instead of thinking very long term, how am I going to deal with the rest of the life, I have kind of come to a conclusion. It is easier to break it down a little bit. So day by day, that's for me, that has been a good start. So to live my life day by day, to acknowledge my emotions when I feel sad or happy or at peace, but I plan not to think too much in advance, or taking one day at a time also means that not think too much about past. What we go through is kind of happened. You can't really change that. All you can change is not even change. I don't think we can change anything. Some of it is destiny, we cannot change. But what we can do is enjoy or live every moment as best as we can. So I try to live my life one day at a time and focus on that. If I feel sad, I try to come out of it so that I can have a day where I'm not sad. So I work on it on the same day basis. That helps. Otherwise, it can become quite overwhelming. At least for me, if I start thinking of too much in future and how my life is going to be. So that's one thing. Second thing I do is try to have compassion for myself. We hear quite a lot about, and as a human being, we are always, most of the time, most human beings are compassionate towards other people, or they find it easier to be compassionate towards other people, forgive other people's mistake. If someone has done us harm or hurt us, we find it easier to forgive them for our own mental health and well-being. Because as we all know, if we hold on to the anger or to the bitterness, it actually affects us more. It does not affect the other person as much, so it eats us up, it affects our well-being. So we kind of find it easier for our own sake to forgive the other person. We feel compassion towards them if we know their life circumstances, why they have hurt us, why they have behaved the way they did. So that has always been the case with me. Not in the beginning, not when I was a teenager. I would hold on to things and I would get really upset with someone, and then I'll really hold on to it for very long periods in my heart. But slowly, as I went into my 30s and 35s, I realized that I'm only hurting myself. You read in books and you read all these people and they say that it's affecting you. You are the one who's getting hurt. So I learned that quite early, and even though I am able to forgive people who have wronged me, even though I'm not able to forget that, I can still forgive them and at least move on in my life a little bit better. But because we are not perfect human beings, so we accept imperfections in other people much easier than accepting ourselves as imperfect human beings as well. So, and I have made mistakes as well. I have made errors, judgmental errors. No one goes out of their way purposely to hurt the other person, but sometimes unconsciously it happens without us knowing. Unknowingly we hurt other person by our words. I'm not talking about physically hurting people, but by our words, by our behavior. We hurt some people because everyone has an expectations from everyone, but also sometimes you can do it knowingly as well, just because you are so angry and you just frustrated sometimes, and then you say things that you don't want to, and it can affect the other person quite a lot. And then yes, you do realize later on that maybe you shouldn't have said that, but knowingly or unknowingly we do end up hurting people, and that's not a very good feeling. And I find that we find it very hard to forgive ourselves, to show compassion towards ourselves. So I have started practicing compassion for myself as well, and treat myself as human. That mistakes happen. The important thing is to learn from it and not repeat it. So as long as you're doing that, then you are learning. You're still a human being. You try to make things right, and sometimes we really try hard to make the wrong we have done, change it to, or make it right, but the other person is not ready to forgive us, or they have had too many bad experiences with us or with me, and the other person might find it quite hard to forgive or forget, or to show any kind of sympathy, empathy, forgiveness, compassion. But we can't really change other people. So what I have started practicing is show compassion to myself, try to be a better person, constantly try to be a better person, but at the same time not be too harsh on myself. Show some compassion. And if the other person, sometimes I get caught up into putting too much effort in making things right, and then that kind of frustrates me if the other person is not ready to understand. But I'm learning that it should not be like that. It's on the other person, the experience they have had, how much hurt they have been with by our words or actions, especially it has been repeated. And we will get into that at some other time, how it can be repeated as well. Most of the time it is due to the personality that we have and our cultural background, how we have been raised. There are so many things that impact that. And then sometimes by the time you realize that the person has had enough of it and they just are not ready to give you another chance, or expose themselves to that hurt again, which is disappointing for me, but totally understandable from the other person. If I am being hurt again and again by some person, then I would probably do the same. So it comes back to, again, having compassion for myself, to think that that I tried and then I just leave it at that. I'm learning not to hold on to that too much, because we can only apologize to the other person. From our behavior, we can change our behavior to show we are changing. They may not want to do anything with you anymore, or they may later on, who knows. Life is so unpredictable. So having some compassion for yourself certainly helps. It does not really take away the guilt feeling that you have hurt some other person, your words you didn't mean, but your behavior was not right. But we are humans, we cannot change what has happened. Past is past. So again, one day at a time, I try to show compassion towards myself and try not to get too hung up on the other person not giving me a chance to make things right. So that is another thing. What else I do is learn more about how to handle things or my thoughts better. And another thing I'm learning is not to hold on to stuff. So even if it is, the more you hold on to it, the more it kind of manifests itself. So if you want to have a good relationship with some person, and yes, you should put effort, but when you kind of don't want to give up, which I am a strong believer in never giving up, but when it comes to another human being, you can't really force them to change. You can't really force them to see that we have changed. All we can do is change ourselves. Just be good in general, the person you want to be. Just strive to work towards that. If the other person sees that, they'll come back to you. If they don't see it, they won't. They may or may not see that. So we shouldn't be really doing it for the other person, but it should be for ourselves. And then try your best to make things right. And if the other person is not ready to forgive or forget, then don't hold on to that too much in your heart. So I'm trying not to hold on to that. There have been, as I said, I'm in my 50s. There have been so many times where I have been hurt by other people, and probably other people have been hurt by me. I know people have been. So try not to hold on to that, because then that kind of manifests itself as a negative in your subconscious, that you start getting frustrated that you're not able to change things. So just try my best and then just let it go, and then just be a better person, irrespective of whether that person realizes or not. It is not easy, But as I said, it is one day at a time. That's how I take. So for one day or for the next moment, if I can just think of that, that I don't have to hold on to this, that helps. The other thing I do is go for walks. Nature helps me. Once when you're in nature, when you're walking, when you're out and about, the greenery, the mountains, the sea, you just forget everything. You become one with nature, and there's just no other thought in your mind. You just marvel, you're just amazed at the vastness of the universe, of the nature, and you kind of, everything just escapes your mind. No stress, no thinking about work, family, friends, even yourself. You just become one with nature, and that is very important to have, so that that gives us that break from the thought processes and helps us kind of balances off the the negative energy with the positive. So that's one another thing that I do. Exercising. So, and my form of exercise is walking or hiking. I just feel really good out in nature, and then next day is a whole new day again, and then those are the things that I do to take care of myself and my mental health, and I feel that it does help. Otherwise, in 50 years of my life, or all of our lives, the amount of things, positive and negative, that we go through, that would drive us insane. But if we are still sane and still here, so that means that whatever we are doing is working, and this works for me. I never thought about these things before, because life was so busy with raising kids and having a full-time job, a social life that was really busy, kids activities that had just kept things so busy that you don't really get a chance or time to think about what has happened and how things are. Even if there's you're not getting on well with family, the extended family members, it doesn't bother you that much, because you're so involved in your own life. But at this stage of life, when you have a little bit of time to think about yourself and your life, where it is going, that's when you kind of start holding on to things, either beating yourself up about things that you have done and you feel that that was not right, or hurt other people with your words or with your behavior, or if it is the other way, when other people have hurt you, then it comes back, that, oh, this person said this to me 10 years ago and they're still not talking to me, they're holding on to it. Or if we are holding on to things, this is the time to it just comes back. It has happened in my case. I just kind of think about life again, and how do you live and what do you do. So those are the things that I currently apply to balance whatever thoughts I have, for any negative feeling that I'm holding on to. I try to balance it off with positive, like traveling. I love traveling. I love hiking, etc., as I mentioned. So I try to do that to just balance off, and so that the mind does not only think about the negative or what has happened in past, or try too much about future, try to think too much about future, because that can make me anxious as well, not knowing, like, if some person is not happy with me, then just to keep thinking about, oh, in future, how long is it going to last? Are they ever going to talk to me again? Especially if they are people who I care about and if I love them. It kind of becomes like a loop in your mind. So and that's not good either. Anything that we hold on to is not good for our life, for our mental health. So we have to balance that off, and I balance it off doing this, walking, hiking, and all those stuff that I mentioned. So do tell me if you have any more strategies that, or does it happen to you as well? How do you deal with all these thoughts about past or future now that you have more time, or if you're at the same life stage as I am? So do let me know in the comments if you like the video. What do you think about it? How do you deal with stuff in your life? And also please like and subscribe. I still have only 1 subscriber, so please subscribe so that I can develop my channel more and develop a community here. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. See ya.